Howdy folks, how you doing? Another edition. Got a little problem though. Promised you last week 2 videos. The problem with doing 2 videos is the shaping machine, because I'm still not properly established in here yet. The vise I'm looking for that fits this platform is completely missing. I don't know where it is, so it means I can't put nothing on it until I found it. So I suppose I need to get back to that dreaded motorhome. Hey, I'm excited, oh my heck. What can I say? 2.5 years in and I still ain't got the thing on the road yet. We've got problems left, right and centre with it that I don't know, I don't have any excuses, to be honest, to why some of the stuff hasn't worked. It could be I've rushed it, it could be lack of money, it could be lack of knowledge, it could be lack of tools, but there's a lack of something, and I'm not elaborating because I just don't even know where to go with it on that one. So this week we're going to concentrate on the 240 volt system, and if I don't take too much time up on the video, I will probably start looking at putting in some bigger batteries, because I need to start that engine up and I need to spin that thing around, and I need to leave it on tick over for a good hour to try and flush out all that bad diesel that's probably sitting in the pump and in the injectors as we speak. I would like also to drain out the existing diesel, but I don't know how many years that stuff's been in there. It's probably gone to water. There's a thing called a diesel bug that I learnt in boat building. There's a possibility I've got gunk growing in the tank as well, because I put a lot of diesel in that 2 years ago and it hasn't even budged the needle. So I'm wondering if the sender unit has jammed up somewhere along the line. Now if I take the sender out and it's rusted, or bits of it are rusted where the steel is, because I know they're all plastic, but the arm there might be metal parts in there. If it's showing signs of rust, then we know the diesel is shot, and then we need to remove all of that. Cue the intro. Coming up, but in the meanwhile, what we will try and do this week, I ain't going to do it today, it's blinking freezing out there, is, as we spoke about it in a previous episode of this blinking truck, we have these 2 that came out of a fire engine, and I really do need to get this done. I need this on the road really. So we need to find somewhere to put them. I reckon we're going to have to make a separate box up, or try and find something down the yard to act as a case, and we'll have to wire these in somewhere like there. There's nothing underneath to get in the way, so we could, in theory, I mean, could we get away with that? Almost get away with that. So we could actually put a back behind here if we need be, and just have them flush with the wood. Got to do something with that because the wallpaper did not work. Anyway, we have 2 of them, and the situation is quite simple. You got one set of wires going in. It's a dual pole. What that means is, if I've used the correct term, is when you flick the switch, there are 2 switches that automatically are joined to the shaft in here, and they both at the very same time click over. So you've got your live and your negative that goes in, and then it will come out exactly. So you'll use, so in a 240 situation, instead of just turning one off, you're effectively turning both of them off and switching them over at the same time. So one of these will go to the shore power on the outside, and then the other terminal will then switch over to this side automatically, which is that bottom one, which will then feed the power into that one, or act as a bridge into that one. We'll get that right. It'll act as a bridge into that one, and then we've got an option of inverter or generator, so we can then run a heavy cable all the way underneath, send that to the plug on the generator, and the other one can then go straight into the inverter plug, which is hidden under here. There's the inverter. So we can then plug straight in to that. That's the plan, and there is the plug there. I've got 2, but we really only need 1, so 1 plug, that's all we're going to use on that. That then gives us a source of 3 separate 240 volt systems that we can use. So if I'm out in the middle of the sticks and I've got enough power on my leisure batteries, I can then go straight to the inverter. I mean, for example, we're going to power up the kettle quickly, and you know, I can do that. We can do that. But if I'm going to be using 240 and I want to save the 12 volt system, or I want to charge the 12 volt system, I can go straight over to the generator, or I can go over to the short power, and we can just feed the 240 volts in from there. The other problem I have at the moment, as you can see, that wire there with TV DVD there, a lot of those are like that at the moment because I haven't had a chance to purchase plugs. In fact, the only plug we purchased was that one. And we've got to pull them all off because I need to get behind here again, because in one of the previous episodes, I don't know if you can remember when I was wiring that in, but we had an extra length of flex and I couldn't remember where that come from. Well, I did remember after about a week, and it belongs to that crusty looking thing. That's a 240 volt fan system, and we need to have that wired in. So yeah, we've got to pull that all off, and we've got to feed that into the back of the plug here, so as that has automatically got power going straight to it from those circuits there, those breakers, which are fed in from whichever power source that we happen to be using at the time. So that's one job we're going to do this week. The other job I'm going to try and achieve is under here. This locker has got to come off. We broke it clumsily, so we've got to straighten that all out, and I don't like the hinge system because I can only go to that height, and it's a right pain in the neck. Now we need to cut that middle brace out on that tray there, because they're only made, those trays are only made for batteries of this caliber. These are the original batteries the lorry came with. As you can see, the terminals are pretty destroyed, and that is very strange because one's wider than the other, and they were in there. Okay, that's completely mucked me up. That is a heavy duty battery. That is a skinny battery. Okay, so what I was talking about might be completely out of the window now, but I'll go to the front and show you the battery that I want to put in. It's the one I want to put in. Actually, that is, excuse the wind, sorry, that is actually a lot bigger than the one in the garden. So we've got to put that on one of the trays so I can link that up to the other battery, because the batteries are going dead very quickly. Even when there is nothing plugged in, I will come out to it, and they were good batteries when I bought them, so I do not know what is going on. But I do have one more item I want to include in this equation of power. If I can find it. Where the heck have I put it? I had it in my hand yesterday, quite literally yesterday, and I thought I'll put that aside. There it is. This bit a bit beaten up, but I might have a hunt down the yard. There was another one down there. I have noticed that there are a few of these lying around. Very, very heavy duty. Switch over. Well, switch off. It's not a switch over, it's a switch off. It's a safety switch that you'll find on a lot of lorries, on a few of them anyway. But unfortunately, this one is busted. Not by me. That's how I found it in the lockup. I know there are more where this came from, so I will have a hunt and maybe take some spanners and get another one off a vehicle which has not got the broken piece. I only picked this one up because I'm a obsessive nerd when it comes to quality sounds, and that sounds really nice and it feels really smooth, and I thought, you know what, this is going to be extremely reliable. Even though that's broken, that's not completely dismiss it, because we could cut that off there if need be and just mount it like that. Maybe put a steel reinforcement around it and glue that in with some sealant or something to stick to the plastic. And but lorries do tend to do a lot of that when they're on tick over, and eventually that will fatigue it. I know it will. Although the bottom does come off, we might be able to put a thin piece of tin and tuck it underneath there just gently. I don't know. But if I can find another one, that's what we're going to do. So for this week, if all goes to plan, or this next video, that's what we're going to try and achieve. So I need to get myself some 240 volt sockets, and I think I'll just go for the cheapest I can find, which will be a single socket, and we'll just have to run extensions off them for the time being. And then we'll concentrate on getting the lorry fired up again. This truck is seriously getting on my nerves now. We've got problems with the fuel system. I'm not 100% sure what's going on with that at the moment. Somebody pointed out to me that I've probably got the diesel bug, and thinking about it in my boat building days, yeah, when boats sit for months on end in moored up, eventually the fuel starts to degrade. You get funguses growing in there from the water content, and he sort of made a valid point that I probably now need to change the filters and drain the fuel out. But as I pointed out to him, the last time I fired this lorry up, it bloody over revved and ran away on me. I shut the ignition off, and then when it did start to calm down, and I don't know what was causing it, I mean, it could be a sticky solenoid, I don't know. When it calmed down and it stalled itself out, I then turned the key to start it again, and it wouldn't run because the fuel pump was empty, because the injectors are empty, sorry, because I'd shut down the solenoid. So it took a load of easy start to fire up again. I never had this problem when I first got this truck. You turn the key and it was on the button. It was, it was perfect. And because I've been getting moaned at over the previous months about him staring at the back of the truck because I haven't had it painted up yet and looking tidy, I had to turn it around to keep him quiet. Now the cab is against the fence, and now I can't tip the cab to sort the problem out. So we are going to have to pray to God I don't blow the engine up, fire it up again, because I've got no way of pulling this thing out, and see where we go, and see if we can turn the truck around and then get the front that way and drop the cab and start giving this thing a service. It really could do with it, to be honest. Filters, oils, all that lot we could really do with it. And I need to drain that fuel out of the fuel tank as well and get rid of it, because I suspect there is water in that tank somewhere. The fuel sender is not working, and it's at the same level it was when I bought it, and I have put a drum like that big by that wide of diesel in it. It should have took it up at least another 2-3 inches minimum on the tank inside, so it would have lifted the sender unit up a little bit, I'm sure. I don't know. So we've got that problem to deal with. We've got the slide outs to deal with still. We've still got the 240 volt system to fit. We've got loads of that to do still. We've got that wall there on the bathroom to sort out, and then to complicate my life more, me and the wife were talking about this big open space. If the slide outs stay, is a bit of a wasted space, because you've got the dinette there, you've got the bathroom there. Yeah, it would be wonderful to come down here in the morning when you wake up, get in, have a shower, have all this space to get dressed. But to be honest with you, I'm now thinking to myself, maybe this space would work better if we had the sofa here and then we put the dinette at the back, or even had a double bed at the back. That wouldn't be difficult to move, because none of that is glued to the wall. It is literally take the cushions off, unscrew everything, lift it out carefully, transplant it down here. It could be done. It's very feasible. This, however, all this area that the camera is sitting on, that is glued to the wall. So once we remove all of this, that's it. It's destroyed, and we're going to have to reline the wall. So at the moment it's looking like this isn't going to get touched. I don't know, we'll see where we end up with that idea, but at the moment we need to get it finished so as we can get it off the garden and get it used. But then we hit the other problem, is this business with Ukraine at the moment, along with leaving the European market. Fuel prices have increased dramatically, gas prices are going up. I'm not sure I can afford to run this now. I think I started this before we left the European market. Things were cheaper. I think we're at something like £1.05 to £1.10 a litre of diesel. Now we're at something like £1.60 a litre now, somewhere around that, and it's still increasing. It's definitely not decreasing. So there's the other problem we've got, fuel costs. So even if I was to finish it, what do I do with it? So yeah, I think if anybody ever came on my doorstep and asked if this was for sale, providing the right amount of money was offered, I think I'd take it. I generally would, on the basis that I'm actually hemorrhaging money in this thing now and I'm getting nothing back. So I'll leave that as an open question to anybody watching this video. If you want a motorhome to live in, this is definitely the one, but you're going to have to finish it. We've got a deck up top that needs finishing as well. We've got more solar panels to buy for that. We've got the sides that flip up. We've got those made. I am thinking about putting the hydraulics back, but I am also thinking about removing that thing I made underneath, the distribution box, because the valves are very worn and every so often they jam up, which means I've got to get under there and I've got to flipping undo the valves to release the pressure. When I had it on little physical levers, it worked fine. I had no problems with it and I could control the speed. So I am debating about putting 2 levers on there, going online and getting some levers and fitting those. I am seriously contemplating it. Or the other one is cut a couple of individual hydraulic packs and running them on off switches instead. We'll see where we go with that. The units that I put under there to push this in and out, and I forgot what they're called, linear actuators, they can then go on the roof. So there's no wastage of money. They can go on the roof and they can operate the sides perfectly. So the switch panels that we've got over there for the hydraulics, even though I'll be disconnecting those, they can be reversed over to that instead. And then that panel I put up there, we can get rid of that because we'll be on hydraulic levers. The question is, where do we put the levers? I'll probably end up having to build a box on the wall somewhere with a door to hide them because they're ugly. Let's be honest about it, guys, they're ugly. But if it makes this work more efficiently, then I think that's the answer. And then the other problem we've got is the hydraulic rams themselves. We're going too fast. I have now picked up some more rams that have got a bigger diameter tubing. The ones I used before were a 2-inch diameter tube, and the bar that went through the centre, the shaft, was probably about 1 inch in diameter, so we had 1 inch of space inside. So when the fluid was pushing, boy, it was moving it like it was moving it. I don't want to swear. So we've got some new rams to use for this job, but they're significantly shorter, so I'm going to have to double the rams up, and I have got some rams in mind for that. So we're going to have to run a series of pipes. So what will actually happen is one set of rams, which are about that long, they're steering rams for a tractor, to be honest, brand new. They've got a diameter of about 4 inches if memory serves, with a shaft of 1 inch, and the other rams that I found are just a fraction too short for the job, but with those other ones on there will work, and those ones are about 3 inches, 3.5 inches with a 1.5 inch shaft inside that. So we are effectively cutting the speed down by 3 times slower than we would have been with the steering rams that I converted previously. And I think that's the other reason why that thing under there isn't working, because I think there's swarf stuck in those and that's got into the oil system and is clogging it up. Also, the rear ram that I had been operating on the system, its sister ram that I had that I threw away, was rusty, and I think that one was also rusty. So as the seals are running backwards and forwards, I think they're scraping the rust off, and that is in the system now. So that really does need to be filtered, to be honest, and an oil filter on the return is all it would do to clear most of that. But it's just all of this extra work that I'm having to redo because I'm cutting corners, because I'm doing this thing called recycling. It's a nightmare, recycling. I don't like it. So yeah, we've got that to do. We've got a leak up on that wall to sort out. That's the exterior wall, but because I've now put all the seals in place and I can't access them, I don't know how I'm going to fix that at the moment. And then we've got the ceiling linings to sort out as well. We've got all of that to do. We've got the lights. We're pretty lit up in here now, as you can see. All the curtains are closed and the lights are on, and I've got sufficient amount of light going on in here. We've also got to sort this wall out here for the bathroom. And the floor needs finishing off in there. We've got the wardrobe to finish off. We ain't done there yet. We've still got that to do. We've got a drawer that keeps falling off. We've got oak that has to be cut out. And the other thing I've been debating about is all these oak doors that I've got going everywhere. I'm thinking about sanding the varnish off and taking them back to plain wood and darkening them up, because I think they'd look better dark. And then this wood here, I've been thinking about painting it white. Because I just think it'll look better against the dark oak, because I think there's too much dark wood in here at the moment and it's in the wrong places, if you see what I'm saying. Look here, as nice as it is, it isn't, because it's cheap plywood and it really didn't come out that great. And this is based on the fact that I saw my old motorhome and I saw what the guy done, because I did the same thing in my last motorhome, and by painting the walls he increased the value no end. I don't know if he'll get his money, I hope he does. I'm a little debatable, but having saying that, van prices have gone absolutely stupid at the moment, and they still are quite mad. So who knows? So we've got dark wood up there, we've got dark wood down there, so I might as well make the rest of it dark, hey? The door, all of that could be sanded back. We can get all that varnish off, stain it all up in a dark oak, give it a good coating. Same with this framework. I need to replace this bar because it didn't cut very well. Dark stain all of that. Window frames, we've got dark stain on the tabletop, which has got to be finished off as yet. So yeah, and then I'm thinking maybe get the roller out and just sand this back and paint that all white or a slightly more neutral colour, because look, the wallpaper ain't working. As soon as we get some heat in here, it destroys. So if we paint that white, then we're halfway there. Because I've already put shelves and cupboards in, I can't do anything else with it anyway if I wanted to. But this wall here that I want to put on here, I'm actually going to glue some foam on it and get some PVC. And I'm quite literally going to stretch it over the foam. I'm not gluing it to the foam, I'm just going to stretch it over and glue it to the back. And then with some screws and some cups, I shall then screw it down so it looks like it's got buttons everywhere. And that will resolve that. And I may very well do it on that wall as well, because once I've peeled that wall off, I'm going to be left with a lot of wood, damaged wood. For example, it's damaged it there, which is a shame, because that piece that was, I had a lovely veneer on that. I wish I kept it now. That actually came from Wicks, that wood, not B&Q. The other stuff I got in here, like this stuff, this is B&Q, and it really isn't that good. It's actually quite tragic. So there you go, there's a brief talk on where we are heading with this thing. Now, next job to do, because I can't do any more to my bead roller at the moment, so I've put that down, is you can see all of the wires poking out. Well, before we tackle that job here, getting these put in, we need to get sockets. So I'm going to go down to the tool station today. I've got a little bit of cash left, and I'm going to get a load of sockets. I've got to find where all the wires are first, so I can figure out how many sockets I've got to go on. I'm sure there's some... What? Hello, what's this? You see what I mean? I've got stuff everywhere. There's one. Twin USB, 16 quid odd, I think. And there's the other one. However, there's nothing leading to it, because that wire that I was going to connect to it is a twin pole 12 volt and one negative. There's two lives and one negative. I now remember what I did. I could have sworn though there was a 240 volt in there somewhere, but I can't find it, so maybe I didn't put one in. That one up there, that got put in a long while ago. That's going to get an extension put on, and that will run down that centerpiece and come out, because I want another socket or a row of sockets here as well. I think we're going to need them. Now I've got to get behind that and repair the problem that went on there. We've got another 12 volt. I think it's actually in the switch. I don't think I left it behind. I think it's actually in the switch. Well, that's a little confusing, because the wire that was hidden behind here, wrapped up, had fridge sticker. So I don't know where that goes. No clue. I mean, it could be the one that I threaded through there and went down. Could be connected to that. I don't know. All I know is it was a wire that wasn't meant to be sitting idle, so it is now connected to that. The first 240 tests will do is on the inverter, as long as that fires up, because that now has got me thinking that I may have put that straight to the fuse box up there, which is what I think I did, thinking about it. So I guess time will tell. You can do these on one switch. You can get a three-way switch, about £55, similar type of switch, you know, barrel type, clonky old switch over thing. So yeah, we've got to take that wire off now, disconnect that plug, feed that little lot through into that one, so that one can be permanent, and I'll do that after my tea. That one's now in. We've just got these earths that have got to be strapped up, push the rest of the wires in, cable tie a couple of bits of it as well, and we'll be good to go. And then we can hoover up the sawdust and put the tray back, and we're that much closer. I've also got the plugs for the generator and for the shore lead. I actually do have a heavy duty shore lead, but one of the plugs, right, they're on. Very straight, I'll openly admit, but they're on. So we've got This is what I know. That one's for the inverter. No, that's for the switchover. I've got to get this right. So that one's main. I think that's how I've got this going. Let's have a look. So I actually can't remember. Right, inverter's on because that light flickered. So there's power now going through that. That one goes to the inverter. So this one is for the inverter. So what's the other one for then? I reckon, oh right, that one goes to the generator. So that's the inverter and generator, and this one must be for the main and the switchover. So that would be main, and no matter what I do, see that light ain't coming on at all. So if I flick it over to number 2, the inverter is on. So that's on number 1 for the inverter, and if I want the generator, flick it over to number 2, and if I want main shore power plugged in, I go over to 1, and I can leave that pretty much random where I want. It's huge. The assumption that it don't rain today, this plug is just way too big. I don't actually know what it's for. As far as I'm aware, that most campsites have that. I'm sure there's a term for it. I really don't know what it is. I've got one here I bought ages back and thought I got the wrong one. Turned out I hadn't, because I was under the impression it was the female that had to be replaced. So I sent the lad up to the tool station yesterday. He brought me a female back, and I don't believe I'll need it. So this has got to be removed. This one's got to be included, and then we've got to be wrapping that all up neat and tidily. Then we've got to make up a patch lead to go between that and a normal 13 amp plug. There is one round here somewhere that I use for the welder when I'm dragging the welder outside, but I don't actually know where it is at the moment. It could be amongst that lot, or it could have found its way in a box which is up in my loft up top. So I may have to make another one of those leads at a later date. I say at a later date, probably very soon, because it's going to be needed. I don't know where it is. Top of my head, I ain't got a flipping clue. Normally it's hanging around here somewhere. The box is on, so that's now hiding all the electrics, so there's no risk of electrocution. Threaded the wires through properly. We've just got to clip them all down. Clip all of them down, fasten that one up. I've got something in mind for that. Just need some screws, and then we've got this whopping great cable here, which has got a feed to the generator room. So tomorrow I'll drill a hole in the floor, I'll thread it through, go under the beams all the way along until I hit the generator room on that side, and then we'll put a big old plug on the end of that with some slack on the wire, because we've got a sliding generator, and we'll plug that in. I've also got a wire for the a plug for the outside line as well, so we can now thread through the window in the house and plug straight into the charger. Speaking of, got a few problems going on here. I don't quite know what it is. All the browns and the blues are in the correct positions. I just don't know what's going on. There's I don't think you can see it from here now. They got little the switches themselves, a little like a point system type system going on in there. It's difficult to explain. When you turn the rotary switch, it releases 2 prongs that touch simultaneously, and this is what's happening. So I put my master on, I flick it over, I'm all plugged into the house. As you can see, everything's working fine. Okay, now I'm going to flick that over, and that happens on the return to 0, which is 0 setting. I have no clue. It's that one switch on that one position that's doing it. I've wired the landline to the generator wire. I've tried the generator switch over, no problems. I've done the inverter, no problems. This switch is fine. Right, I've tried everything. I've done both rotaries, rewired everything, and it's still knocking the trips out. I think what's happening is the rotary, when you're turning it, you've got like little points in there. I think the springs are worn and one wire is touching quicker than the other, which is causing it to surge and trip out. I've ordered, or I'm going to order, which will take a few days to get through the post, a 3-way rotary, brand new. We'll give that a go. Next time, going to turn this into a trike. I've got a deal going with a chap whose health has deteriorated massively and can't ride his bike anymore. I bought this with the intentions in passing my bike test, but due to the fact that the fuel prices have escalated since the Russian invasion and are going to get a lot higher than what they are now, I've sort of decided that my test isn't going to happen immediately, and this sitting here without covers on is just going to rot, and I would rather it was being used than sat here idle. Not only that, the deal that we're pulling is a bike for a trike. The bike that he's laid up, I would say would work out financially equal once this has been triked. I mean, as a bike at the moment, no, his bike's worth far more than what this thing is. But once I've triked this, the values and the labour costs will balance out. What he has, and I can't say too much, but it's a 1700cc V-twin, very loud, very noisy, extremely nice, got more value than this has as we sit. So we're doing a straight trade. I will build that up out of my own pocket, which will give me a video to put up for you guys, a video or two. So we'll do this, and next week we'll engage the 240 volts electrics that are still giving me some serious ball ache. Till next week, bye bye. Thank you very much for all the lovely comments and likes that you've pressed on the last video, which was this. But I want to give you just a quick update on this. And it still don't bloody work. Look at this. It's stronger than it was. Oh, this ratty thing. Okay, so there you go. There is one thing I could do, and that is, and I'm not going to do it. If I do, it'll be later on. I can't be doing, I've got other things to get on with, but I could cut it like that, a big block out there and there, big old 20mm nut with a lock nut with a thread and some levers and whatnot, and we could physically spin that, which would then tension that arm up, which would then push this down a little bit. And I'm tripping over everything, and I'm saying that because I'm sure that now you've seen this come together, that you're probably thinking, I could do that, and you probably could. I just hope you can do better welding than me. So yeah, that's about the only thing I can think of, is a lever system here that you'll physically wind that will push that down, because there's not really much else I can suggest. Yeah. See that going up? Maybe the lever system needed to go up here to the top and then peak down to there. Maybe that's what it needed. Other than that, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Damn thing. So yeah, we'll touch up the red, hoover up the dust, there's plenty of it, and that'll have to do. I'll just have to live with it the way it works for the moment, at least. Anyway, I mean, I shan't be using 2mm that much anyway, if at all. It's just some floor pans I'd like to do thicker than others. What with the current prices of fuel the way they are at the moment, don't really see 2mm being used, because I haven't got a rat rod to drive at the moment. So